This guy found out that his mom, dad and brother weren't real and decided to report it to the police, where he found out even scarier things. This is the film Forgotten, and we promise you'll be shocked. A young guy named Jin Seok is riding in a car with his mom, dad and older brother Yoo Seok. They are moving into a new house. Pulling up beside it, the family unloads their belongings. Jin looks at the new house, and for some reason, it seems very familiar to him. The youngster is thinking about his older brother and considers him to be a perfect person. Yoo Seok graduated from a prestigious university and has always been successful in all sorts of activities, whether it's music, sport or household chores. Yoo Seok got in a car accident 6 months ago and now limps on his left leg. Despite this, he remains the favorite child, unlike Jin Seok, who has never been able to go to university and takes pills because of his mental problems. Movers bring new belongings into the house. Yoo Seok hangs a calendar on the wall, and we learn that it's May 1997. The brothers will share a room, which is strange because there's another room right next door, but it's locked for some reason. Yoo Seok explains that it contains the belongings of the previous owner of the house. He goes downstairs to help his parents and runs into some movers at the door. At the same time, the other mover asks Jin how old his brother is, but he doesn't have time to answer as Yoo Seok returns and chases the workers away. In the evening, the family has dinner while rain pours outside the window. Jin is really curious about a locked room upstairs. His father replies that it is strictly forbidden to enter that room. Suddenly, some kind of knocking is heard. Everyone except Jin is sure that it's just thunder. However, the guy supposes that the noise came from the locked room. He hears the same strange sound again during the night and decides to check what is in the mysterious room. It's Yoo Seok, who doesn't hear anything suspicious and offers his brother to go on a walk. Jin doesn't want to, since it's still raining outside, but Yoo Seok insists. After taking umbrellas, the brothers go outdoors. They stand side by side and enjoy the view of the night city. At this time, Yoo Seok's phone rings. The father asks him to bring some documents. Yoo Seok asks Jin to wait for him and goes inside the house. In a few minutes, Jin follows his brother and witnesses a group of unknown men push Yoo Seok into a black car and kidnap him. Jin doesn't manage to catch up with the kidnappers, and the car drives away. The guy remembers the license plate number and runs to his parents. After explaining what happened, he faints from fear and falls to the floor. Jin comes to his senses and asks about Yoo Seok, but his parents don't know anything. The police arrive, and the detective claims that a car with that license plate doesn't exist. However, the youngster is confident that he memorized the numbers correctly. Several days pass. The police install listening devices on all the phones in the house, but no suspicious phone calls are received. Unexpectedly, Yoo Seok returns home on the 19th day. The guy doesn't remember anything, but his parents and Jin are very happy to see him home and don't ask too many questions. In the morning, Jin drops his medicine and forgets to take it, being distracted by Yoo Seok's appearance. The brothers eat breakfast and Yoo Seok is about to leave. Jin is stunned when he notices that his brother is limping on his right leg, though he used to limp on his left leg. Yoo Seok implies that it's just his brother's imagination and leaves the room. In the evening, Jin is studying for his college entrance exams and falls asleep over his books. Yoo Seok shows up and sees his sleeping brother, pulls out a pencil lead and brings it too close to Jin's eye. Jin doesn't move all this time. After making sure his brother is sleeping soundly, Yoo Seok leaves the house. Except Jin was only pretending to be asleep. He opens his eyes and decides to follow his brother. Yoo Seok walks down the street and at some point stops limping. He gets into a cab and Jin follows him. He sees his older brother meeting with a couple of detectives, who call him boss. Yoo Seok looks like a real gangster and gives some assignments to his assistants. Jin realizes that the police officers who came to his house weren't real, and this guy isn't his brother. The detectives notice Jin and try to catch him, but the guy manages to escape. Yoo Seok grabs Jin in a dark alley and sedates him. The guy wakes up at home lying over his books, while his brother pretends that nothing special happened last night. Jin runs hysterically to the bathroom and locks himself inside, saying that he remembers all the events of the last night. Yoo Seok assures his brother that it was just a nightmare because he hadn't taken his pills on time. Jin finds a pencil lead under the table and is now 100% sure that he didn't imagine it. Jin shares his concerns with his mother, who advises him to go to the police. At night, Jin has another nightmare, dreaming that he entered a locked room and witnesses Yoo Seok taking his own life. Jin wakes up in terror and hurries to the kitchen for a drink of water. He hears his mother talking on the phone. The woman tells someone that Jin began to figure everything out. The guy approaches the door, but the floorboards crack, and his mother notices that there is someone awake in the house. While she is going upstairs to his room, Jin manages to run outside, climb into the room through the open window and hide under a blanket. However, his mother still guesses that Jin overheard the conversation. The youngster runs outside and sees his father there, accompanied by a stranger. Dad asks his son to get back inside and discuss everything, but Jin is sure that his family is not who they pretend to be. He intends to flee from the house, almost getting hit by a police car along the way. Jin ends up by the police station, where the cops check his identity. According to his ID, Jin Seok should be 41 years old, but the guy is only 21. Jin Seok doesn't understand anything. He's sure it's 1997, however, the calendar at the station reveals that it's actually 2017. A shocked Jin looks around and spots signs of modern life. A tablet, a smartphone, and a LED flat-screen TV displaying a meeting between two current presidents of South Korea and the United States. The protagonist takes a closer look at himself in the mirror and realizes that he is not a young guy, but a middle-aged man. Jin returns home and discovers that there is no one inside. The door to the locked room is open for some reason. Jin walks inside and sees two mannequins stained with red liquid. It looks like blood. The same stains are on the piano and on the stereo, which is playing a Christmas tune. There's also a knife on the floor. Jin's family shows up at the house, or people who pretend to be his family. Yoo Seok explains that 20 years ago a terrible crime happened in this room. Someone took the lives of two people, however, the criminal was never found, and the police abandoned the case. One of the relatives of the victims hired a private detective to continue the investigation. Many months later, he managed to find the offender. It turned out to be Jin Seok. The man who lost his family sought revenge desperately. Jin was tortured, tormented, beaten, and forced to confess, but he never admitted his guilt. It turns out that Jin's psyche had erased all memories of that day from his mind. A hypnosis specialist was involved. He put the guy in a trance and made him believe that it was 1997, and the crime hadn't been committed yet. In order to restore Jin's memory, people decide to arrange a performance with the actors who played the roles of his mom, dad, and brother. The guy was returned to the moment when he was traveling with his parents in the car, except this time his family was fake. The house seemed familiar to him because that's where the crime happened. The movers asked about Yoo Seok's age because, in fact, Jin looked about 20 years older. And the noise in the locked room was made by detectives who were setting up the decorations. However, by a ridiculous coincidence, Yoo Seok was detained by the police right on the day when everything was supposed to be resolved. He was arrested on suspicion of fraud and was released only 19 days later. During this time, the effects of the hypnosis weakened and Jin began to come back to his senses. Yoo Seok reveals all this stuff to Jin while driving, but the latter says he's not a criminal and jumps out of the car. Yoo Seok drives after him but crashes into a tree. However, just a minute later, Jin himself gets hit by a car. In the hospital, the main character gradually begins to recall the events of May 1997. He actually was traveling with his family in the car, but got into an accident. The guy's parents died from their injuries, and Yoo Seok was left paralyzed. Jin tried to find a job to raise funds for his brother's surgery. He was willing to do anything to earn a lot of money. Yoo Seok's doctor said that time was practically running out. If the operation is not done immediately, Yoo Seok will die. That same night, Jin received a message. An unknown man offers Jin to commit a crime and get a huge amount of money for it. He needs to take one person's life. Out of despair, Jin agrees. The employer sends him the address and insists that only the woman should be killed, but the children must never be touched. Jin breaks into the house at night, seeing the sleeping woman as well as her daughter and son. He realizes that he will never be able to commit such a horrible crime. At that moment, the woman wakes up and sees the stranger in her house. She screams in fear, and Jin promises not to hurt her. He is about to leave, but at that point, the eldest daughter walks downstairs and starts screaming. Jin runs after the girl, but accidentally takes her life in one of the rooms. The mother also rushes into that room and becomes another victim. Jin goes downstairs and meets a little boy on the first floor. The guy tells him that his mom will be back soon. At that moment, Jin notices a family photo on the wall and realizes that the person who put out the contract is Yoo Seok's doctor. Jin Seok meets him on the rooftop and forces him to explain why the letter required his wife's death. The doctor explains that the financial crisis made him broke, and he issued several insurance policies for his wife so that his children wouldn't become homeless. Since Jin Seok took the life of not only his wife but also his daughter, the doctor says that Yoo Seok will die too. A fight ensues, resulting in the doctor accidentally falling off the roof, which means Jin won't get any of the promised money. The protagonist wakes up in a hospital. A fake Yoo Seok walks into his ward with a syringe of poison, and it looks like the guy intends to inject Jin with it. The guy is concerned with only one question: who ordered the murder? Jin lies that he did it on his own and that his father had nothing to do with it. But Yoo Seok doesn't believe him. The guy tells Jin that he's the same little boy whom Jin promised that his mom will come back. After losing his mother and sister, the little boy was sent into an orphanage and his life turned into hell. Jin begs for his forgiveness. But is it possible to forgive someone who deprived you of your entire family? The enraged guy breaks Jin's IV drip and leaves the room, dropping a syringe with poison on the floor. The main character slides off the bunk and reaches for the syringe. At this time, the fake Yoo Seok is walking down the hallway. The nurse tells him that there is no exit that way, but the guy doesn't listen to her. The girl decides to check where he's going and sees an open window. The same guy is lying on the pavement below. Jin injects himself and finishes his life simultaneously with the fake Yoo Seok. In his last seconds, he sees himself on the day before the accident. He was listening to music before the ride when he spotted a little boy. It was the son of the very doctor who would soon be treating Yoo Seok. The boy offers him a lollipop, after which he leaves with his family and Jin waves goodbye to him. Did you like the recap? Then visit this channel more often. This was the Movie Cat. I'll see you soon.